What we have here is a 72 layer Damascus preformed bar. It's not a knife yet. As you can see, it's still a flat bar just in the general shape. And we'll start forging by flattening the handle end into the correct shape, then working from the middle to the tip and back again in order to form the Tanto Japanese sword. Here we begin forging the handle. First by flattening the shape, and then narrowing the handle to the end. The handle is differentiated from the rest of the blade by marking it on the anvil. This is specific for Japanese blades, as the base of the handle has a special copper guard that goes around, as well as a hand guard. And if you start forging the blade too high, you might not leave room for the handle to be formed. To add a pattern to the Damascus, I now file in small grooves to the steel. So when forged down, it shows buried layers in the steel coming to the surface, and thus makes a cool wavy pattern right on the edge of the blade. This will hopefully be seen by the end of the video. At this point, the pattern is continued on the opposite side of the blade once the first side is finished, but this time taking care to make the grooves in between the old grooves on the other side of the blade. So in order that there's no point in the metal in which it's absolutely too thin to forge or make into an even blade. Once the teeth are ground in, they are now flattened by heating in a coal fire and then flattening into the edge of the blade, which is soon appearing. Care is taken when forging not to form any cold folds, which is when the edges of the new cuts I made fold over the empty space and seal itself shut instead of forge welding shut or anything like that. So I carefully flatten all the pieces till it's just a flat layer of steel and make sure no folds have occurred, which they have not so far. The line between the handle and blade is now further differentiated by beating flat the part of the blade preceding the handle, where eventually the guard will go. So a major tragedy occurred, and lesson learned. I left for a second to turn on the air compressor, and the knife got too hot in the fire and melted in half. So, end of story, it's basically going to be a shorter knife now, which is a lot of hours and work wasted, but at least I am getting something from it. The now shorter blade is pointed and beveled on each side into its soon-to-be final shape. An important part of knife making, but often a long process, is straightening. As you can see, there's a bend here in the handle of the knife, which is simply laying flat and straightened until there's no more bend. This seems pretty easy, but if you wait until the blade is hardened, and then notice that it isn't quite straight, it'll first keep you awake at night, and second, it will be almost impossible to fix without having to re-soften the blade to bend it. The hard steel likes to shatter. So even though the Tanto knife ended up shorter than I was expecting, it still turned out to be a absolute masterpiece, in my opinion. I'm keeping the back part a primitive sort of finish to show what the Damascus steel looks like before it was all treated. And then this polished part down here is going to be etched and should hopefully clearly show a Damascus pattern. So the knife is finally being finished, and I think think it turned out pretty well. And it fits together really nicely with the sheath into one solid piece. That way it's sort of just like a sword that doesn't even look like a sword. It's not very intimidating. And it's nice and snug and won't shake. And as can be seen, there's a definite Damascus pattern as well as a Hammond line, which can be quite easily seen on the blade. In the camera, however, it doesn't show up quite as well. Now, those are some real Hammonds. Thanks for watching.